Right. And I'm going to pass it off to Contessa.
Hey, I have really bad bandwidth out here in Jersey, and I paid for the most expensive package, but it's still not working. So you can't see my face, so it's a little awkward. I'm sorry about that, but not that you want to see my face anyway, but anyway. So I'm going to start us off by just leading us in a little bit of a chat conversation. So people with disabilities, as all of us are maybe struggling with this transition, and we have, figured out a new way of our daily lives. But speaking to that, thinking about that, and since our populations vary so much, we have to really be mindful of that when we're engaging with families. And I think it's a good opportunity for us being cognizant of that, also thinking about how we can encourage our families to have conversations with their kids, with their family members, with everyone in the household, and just kind of acknowledging, these are tough times that we're living through right now. Everything about how we lived is changing, and every day is a new day, and there's new information and lots unfolding as we wake up every day and live through the day itself. So I think it's important that also with the instruction we're composing, that we model that daily practice about how we adjust to the transition, because especially kids who are on the spectrum, I mean, even me, I'm having a lot of struggles with, managing anxiety. So it's important that we acknowledge that in modeling to families, and kind of encourage them to take those moments and talk with their kids about, what everybody's experiencing, and not to just ignore it and keep moving forward. So I want to just encourage you to post some ideas of how you are thinking in this way, and what you're thinking of doing in encouragement in modeling to families, so that we kind of force that conversation of like, I know that we're adjusting to a new norm. So how do we get back to that daily practice and transition? Also, like thinking, there is a September coming, maybe not, maybe it's January, we don't know. But how do we keep up with daily routines or strong study habits, and encourage organization skills, so that when we transition back, we're also still honing those skills that we hope not to lose, that have been built up all this time, coming by all of us, right? So I'm just going to take a minute to let you all think about and post the ways that we could help kids and families transition right now through modeling and encouraging, and also thinking forward how we maintain those executive functioning skills also. Thank you for sharing, Maria. It's really important to do those mindset lessons, as well as it is important to do those academic pieces. Yeah, Google Calendar, that's helpful. That's also thinking forward, that at some point we're going to be back to a new norm. Anybody else have great ideas to share? Yeah, thanks, Dina. Google Classroom is really helpful. It's organized in and of itself. And once we get people familiar with that routine, that's also something we can carry forward into whatever we're moving into. Yeah, if it's not broken, don't try and fix it. Jackie, I could see you having a blackboard in your house, kind of sorts.
I actually went old school, and I have a piece of oak tag I wrote on.
Wow, that's surprising. I didn't even know any oak tag or paper existed in your house.
Okay, we just wanted to kind of poke you into thinking about this, that it's important that we we don't just fast forward past the reality.
Okay.
Because we can undo maybe some, absence of instruction like we knew it yesterday, but it's even harder to help kids emotionally if they're experiencing trauma, and we're not acknowledging that and supporting them through it. Thank you for sharing, everybody. You want to move on, B?
Yep.
Okay, so just a simple flow of the session, right? So this is your oak tag, your your chalkboard, blackboard from back in the day when I first started teaching. So we're going to start with just a brief overview of special design instruction, just in definition, really, so that we can just level the playing field with everybody that's on the call right now, because we don't know what everybody knows and doesn't know. So we're just going to level it out with an introduction. We're going to navigate into making connections to 16 elements of explicit instruction and Nita Archer, which I know a lot of you are familiar with. And then we're going to link the effect of disability to SDI strategies. And again, tying it back to executive function, which we spoke about earlier. Jackie's going to share some amazing ideas with Google Keep. And each of these are going to be amazing ways that we can engage with kids tied to their affective disability. Thinking about some of the things we've mentioned within IEPs that are also around. So Google Keep will help with organization. Screencastify is going to help us with sort of that that adjustment to not having that face-to-face. It's going to be helpful for us with modeling. And then kids will be able to have our voice and see our face and be able to keep learning going. And then we're going to mention Google Slides and Kami, but those will be future upcoming sessions that we'll be holding. We just don't have enough time to go into them today, but those will be something for us to all look forward to as ways to engage with kids. And so specially designed instruction, right? So this federal definition is something that we're all familiar with. And then the graphic on the side is something that hopefully brings some familiarity with you. But today we're just going to talk about the content methodology and or delivery of instruction, that the way that we are thinking about and designing our experiences for kids, especially as we transition. So keeping in mind, but then just thinking a little differently. So, we can't have birthday parties in person, but everybody's been really creative about doing these sort of drive-bys in our cars and making signs and honking our horns. You can't hand somebody a birthday present with the fancy tissue paper. Now we have to kind of package it up differently. So that's how we're thinking forward about specially designed instruction. Okay, so we just blew it up for everybody, or maybe for me because I can't see that tiny picture. But just reminding everybody that it's really important that we do what needs to be done. And how do we know that? We know that by administering, designing formative assessment for kids, so that we don't just teach to that myth of the average or presume what they know and don't know. And that's what our role as special educators especially is, to make sure that, whatever the general education teacher and whatever we're composing as a partnership for kids, that we're always thinking about, well, how is Brandon going to get it? And how are we going to know he gets it? So we don't just presume what he knows and doesn't know. We actually have some real data. And quizzes is really cool for that too. But we're not going to talk about that necessarily today, but I just want to plug that. Go ahead. Okay. So we want to give everybody some concrete examples of what we mean when we say content, what we mean when we say methodology, what we mean when we say delivery of instruction. So content is curriculum, right? Anything that includes your course of study, any materials, any text selections, whatever you're including in as your unit map, your curriculum map. This is sort of the what, right? And it's all standards based. So if kids are in the 6th grade, they're receiving 6th grade standards based curriculum. And then we're ramping it up for them in terms of that staircase of complexity. Methodology. So that's your instructional design, and it's research based. right? So it's not just, I feel like teaching a book today. It's not rampant all over the board. It's really thoughtful, intentional, purposeful ways that we have researched because we're experts in the field that we're deciding to use with kids. So some examples of that are chunking and read alouds. We're also continuously thinking about those emotional supports we can provide for kids. So PBIS, oral drafting, small group, repetition centers, all the things that we used to do, we're going to make way for that in a new version. And so the tools that we share later on are going to help you design your lessons or strategically reach kids in a more poignant way. Delivery of instruction, adaptations of methodology to meet individual needs of students with disabilities. So these are the things that we're really doing that that are sort of changing the environment for kids in a way that that prompts them. And so explicit instruction and routines and rituals. So how are we engaging with one another? What can you expect from me in this partnership? When are we going to have our check-ins with one another? How are you going to engage with the content? How are you going to process this information? And how am I going to organize that for you, with you, and then release some scaffolds in that way? I know that we always, we'll give extended time. We'll give ways of thinking through things. So in terms of mathematical practices, thinking of number lines. But it's important that we, as we're assigning to kids. So I know that my kids have been engaging in Newsella. So they've been reading articles essentially on their own and then answering questions. So if that's what everybody is experiencing, how are we thinking about that alternatively differently so that kids with disabilities can have some access points into that? And so again, Jackie's going to share some really cool ideas later. So I want you to think about the ways that assigning is currently happening and the environment is currently being lived for kids, and then think about how the tools that we share today can apply to how those experiences are being lived. Okay, any questions at this point?
Nothing's come up yet.
Not in the chat. Nope.
Cool. Go ahead, B.
All right. So many of you are familiar with the work of Anita Archer and Charles Hughes. They are the gurus behind explicit instruction. We are big fans of Anita Archer, and I know a lot of you are too. And so this is kind of a review. I mean, it should be a review for most of you, but these are the 16 elements. And the only difference between this and the one pager that you've probably seen of the 16 elements is that it's broken down into these 4 different domains of content, design of instruction, delivery of instruction, and practice. And so we wanted to hear a little bit from you. If you can take a look at these and really think about which of these you've been trying to, or you've been easily been able to focus on during remote instruction. If you can enter in the chat box. And if you're doing that and you're using some sort of program to help you, what is that program that you're using or app? And then if you can also label a potential challenge in trying to use one or more of these elements, and during remote learning, as opposed to oh, this was easy for me to do in the classroom. So if you could take a couple of minutes, or even less than that, because we don't have much time, but just take a minute to look at these, and in the chat box, talk about some successes and then some challenges. We'll share a couple out. Yeah, Giovanna, I like the setup too, like this. And I know you're a big Anita fan. All right, so again, what's been something you've been able to do on remotely, and what has been a challenge? So we have a few coming in now. Nicole says in the components within design and delivery. Sierra said the success designing instruction has been positive, utilizing the, I just lost it in the chat, utilizing the writing process. Inspire program has kept my ELA groups fully on task and engaged. Yeah, that's great that Spire, which has a lot of elements of explicit instruction built right in, has gone remote and gone online. That's awesome. Let's see. A challenge monitoring performance closely for Contessa. Yeah, I could see that being a challenge for teachers. Just the fact that you're not there with kids, it's not as easy to just bounce desk to desk and conference with kids, right? Give them feedback. These comments are coming in. I'm trying to read them as quickly as I can. Providing step-by-step demonstrations, sharing your screen. Yeah, Jackie's going to take us through a great tool for doing that today. Let's see. Challenge getting everyone to attend live sessions and submit assignments on time. Yeah, which takes away from the ability to really provide step-by-step demonstrations in a live format, right? Which would be in design. Nicole saying success is using Show Me to record herself modeling math examples from Go Math. Okay, I haven't used Show Me, but I've heard of it. Pacing. Yeah, pacing is very difficult remotely. A little easier to get the idea of how long things are taking your kids to complete when you're in front of them. All right, great. So continue to think about these and think about ways that you can effectively implement them in this new, but most likely, remote. It's staying here. We're in this for the long haul, guys. I know it's not official really, but I think we're in this for the rest of the year. Anyway, so keep these in mind as we go through the day. Liz? Liz, are you on? Did we lose Liz?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Bandwidth. No, I don't know where she is. She might have dropped off. Oh, there it is.
Is she on? I'll text her.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh.
I just got dropped once, so if I get dropped again, I apologize in advance.
All right.
All right, so the effects of disability. So I have a tendency to turn everything into an analogy. So if we think of executive functioning as like the orchestra conductor of our brain, then I think it helps me to think of specially designed instruction as like that metronome, that little clicky thing that some people need to help them maintain rhythm. If we think of the metronome, the specially designed instruction as the metronome for those conductors who aren't always so rhythmic or can't balance the whole orchestra at once all the time. For those of us who spend our lives on stage in the classroom, we know it's very difficult to be at our best all of the time, every day. And Contessa even opened with some of us sharing the supports that we're using now. So executive functioning really taps into all of us and our needs at different times, but especially our students with autism or ADD or ADHD, most of our students who are learning disabled. But even like we said, especially right now, executive functioning is really requiring a lot more attention from all of us. So basically we want to kind of hear from you off the top of your head. What would that metronome look like in your regular physical classroom? Maybe we can start there in the chat so that we can use that as a springboard into thinking how it might look different now in virtual remote learning. So in the chat, if you could just shoot some things off the top of your head, what does your specially designed instruction look like in your classroom? Or, what does that mean to you, that little metronome that you have to put in place to keep students thinking in rhythm and with balance and all these different things? Share with us what that brings to mind for you. If you want to. Explicit modeling, clearly defined goals. Yep. What else comes to mind when you think of specially designed instruction within your typical classroom? Physically see our students trying to work through things in line. We can't just see the outcome. So that progress monitoring piece that we were talking about before. Keeping assignments routine. So predictability definitely helps. Decreasing anxiety. Visual schedules, clear flow of the day. Yep. So Brandon, if we move to the next slide. Yeah, each child needs a different aspect, definitely. And that's what it's all about, right? Knowing what each of our musicians needs and when they need it and what that looks like for them. So that's going to look different sometimes in the physical classroom to our remote learning platform, right? And that's probably one of the greatest challenges for teaching happening virtually. So as you can see in the presentation on the right side, these are all links. Some things we've gathered up that we've used Goalbook for. So I know a lot of us have Goalbook accounts. Even if you don't have an account, if you click on this link, Goalbook has a way to make links shareable that you can share with parents and keep them on the same page, so they can be partners in instructing their child also. So this is an example of how you might create a shareable link from Goalbook to share a strategy. It looks to me like if you have a Goalbook account, you'll be able to gain access and download the resources. If you don't have an account, it might show you a preview so you can get an idea of what you might want to imitate. But this is definitely worth exploring. Some ideas of how to support these executive functioning muscles that we're used to supporting in a physical classroom, and now it might be a little challenging for us. I don't see, I'm trying to look through the chat. I don't see any questions, right? I think
No questions, just comments.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Are we good? Are we good, Liz?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to unshare my screen because I'm going to turn it over to Jackie Patanio now. Just going to take you through a couple of resources to support everything we've done up until this point.
All right.
Hey, Jack.
Hey. Just give me a moment to get myself situated. I'll share my screen.
Jack, before you come on, Brendan, someone was asking for the link to the presentation slides. That tiny URL link is in the chat. So you might have to scroll back up, or Liz, if you can just drop it again in there. So Maria, I think, was asking. Thank you.
All right. Brandon, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
All righty. All right. Hey, everyone. So I introduced myself before. I'm Jackie Patanio. I'm on the teaching and learning team. I do apologize ahead of time if you hear me mute myself or tell my child to stop running, because I have a 6-year-old in the house who is in, I forgot what part of the day, but he asks frequently what period we're in. So, the joys of teaching, working at home and being a teacher. So anyway, I'm happy to be here, and we brainstormed some of the different resources that might be beneficial to support the 16 elements of explicit instruction in SDI. So two of the ones that we thought would be beneficial for today are Google Keep and Screencastify. So Google Keep is actually one of my favorite tools in Google Apps. Not one that is necessarily used frequently, but I hope after today and the little demo that I do, you find it as useful as I do. And I know that everybody on the team was excited about the features that it has. So on the slide you're looking at, you'll have access to this. We just have the basic Google Keep resource page. So always visiting the Google Teacher Center, because that has a lot of information for you. And this is the direct area to Google Keep that give you some, insights, tips, and tricks after today. This right here is a PD that I did, a remote session that we did, and it tells you just to scroll to the 30-minute mark if you feel like hearing this all over again. There's a PD there for you. And then as we move through Keep and Screencastify, I have this doc right here. Do not feel obligated to use it. But this is just if you have any ideas that come to your mind that you want to jot down on this sheet as we're talking. So in the spirit of trying to make everything accessible, I'm working with headers in my documents. That's why it looks like this and it's not in table format anymore. So if you could just come on over to where it says add here, you could delete that and just start typing in a response. So you have Screencastify and Keep is down at the bottom. All right, so these are just to curate some ideas as we're moving through. Okay? And feel free to drop them in the chat as well. So Google Keep. There's a nice little fun slide that I put on the next page. I'm not going to use this. I'm actually going to walk you through a demo right now, but this is here for you. We'll start at your Google landing page. It's the place that I always like to begin. I know that I'm logged in because I see my face over here. So this is my account. And I'm going to head on over to my waffle. So the waffle is where we access all of our apps. No matter what, if we get lost, we always can come on over here and we can find our way. So Keep looks similar to Slides in the color, but it's actually just a light bulb. So click on Keep and it opens up to yours. When you open it up, will probably not be messy like mine. I've been using this for a long time, so there's a lot of stuff. But it opens up to this platform. And essentially, this is like, think of like a bulletin board and you're putting up reminder notes on it. You're putting up Post-its on it, okay? So that's what this is. In order to create a note, we come on up here where it says take a note. And we tap on it, just give it a minute. With the video running in the back, it sometimes takes a little time out of my bandwidth. While I wait for that to open up, I'll just kind of talk you through what's happening over here. On the left, on the hand side, these are all of my labels. So when I'm creating these notes, I'm able to create new labels or add to existing labels. Okay, we'll exit this page and start again. Okay, we'll do Keep. So this is another way to actually access it. If you put in keep.google.com, that will also bring you to your Keep. Okay, let's see if it wants to play nice now. So back to what I was saying was that these over here are labels. So I'm able to label my notes over here so that I can access them quickly just by tapping over here on the left. And I'll show you how that works. So just give me another moment. And if this keeps up, what we might have to do is just head on over to Screencastify and try Keep later on. I'll try one more time. Isn't this the best part of doing things live? Things stop working. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I tapped where it said add a note. What I'll do here is it'll prompt me to create a title and then actually take a note. So the title is where I would put the big information that I want to house in here. So for example, again, it's not working. I put keep features. So that would be the title of my note. And then right here is where I would start typing in information in the order that I want it to appear on here. Okay. Guys, I am really sorry. Brandon, do you want me to kind of just keep trying with Keep for a moment, or do you want me to head on over to Screencastify? It's entirely up to you.
I guess maybe give it one more
Yeah.
shot and then.
I'll give it one more shot, and then if not, we'll head on over to Screencastify, and you know, I might try to open up in an incognito window.
Yeah, something separate.
I'll try that. So open up incognito. For those of you who don't know what that is, you can access it when you're in Google Chrome, and it allows for you to browse in private. So I could have different accounts opened up at the same time, just in case you have like 20 email addresses and you want to have one open here. Okay, we'll try again. Okay. So we'll call this Jackie. Okay, this is Jackie's notes for April 22nd, 2020. Okay, so I gave it a title, and then I'll start taking notes in here. So these are the things that I need to do. So think about yourself in terms of teacher, administrator. What is it that you might be adding to a Post-it note? Or think about your students. How can they use this to organize their thoughts and organize different structures that they might need, even if it's creating themselves a flow of the day. So cook breakfast. All right, cook. We'll do mommy stuff. Cook breakfast. Get Jordan dressed. Charge the iPad. Okay. So simply, all I'm doing is typing in my statements and hitting enter. Down here, we have different options that we could play around with in terms of what this note can do for us. So I could set a reminder onto this note right here. So what it does is it could actually give me a notification as to when I have to do something. So if I have an assignment that's due, I can set it, I can pick a time and a date for this to kind of notify me like it would when you're using Calendar, because in Calendar you also have the ability to create notifications. Over here, we're going to move on over. We're going to skip this one for now, and we're going over to color, because a lot of times color helps with organization, right? So maybe I want to stick with all of my personal things being teal. This allows me to kind of have my eye go straight to it. Again, think about your students and what works best for them and what works best for you. Does color enhance the experience and support, the organization, the structure of what's actually being done? So color is right here, and it can be changed at any time. Now I'll head on over to this one. So this is for collaborators. This note is just for me. This is my own personal chaos that I live in. But if I want to invite somebody else to work with me, I can invite a collaborator in. This works exactly like Docs does. For example, I start typing in somebody's name, Brandon Shaw, and I click save. Brandon is now saved on this note. So Brandon and I can start putting information onto this note to either check off. It could be a list that we need to attend to. It could be that he is, I'm asking him for feedback on something. But Brandon now has access to this particular note, not everything else that's on here. Okay, just this note. And I could just as simply go on over and take him off as well. There we go, and click save. So a nice way for you to be working with students on particular tasks, and same thing, students working together, whatever it is, even with parents being able to keep students on task and supporting them. I'm going to head on over to my images. So again, if you just take your cursor and you just hover it over, it'll tell you what these icons are.
Jackie, I'm glad you took me off of that, because I don't really cook, so
Yeah, you and me both. So if you click add an image, this will look different on everybody's computer, but I'm on a Mac. I can upload right from my computer if I took a picture of something. Let's say I took a picture of my student's work. I took a picture of, anything that was around. It works better when you're on the app. So you download the Keep app on your phone, and it actually, it's one of the things that I use most when I'm in a school and I'm walking around. So hopefully this doesn't give out on me, but you'll see over here, when we visit schools, what I do is I take my phone with me and I just snap photos on my iPhone, and I'm able to just drop pictures into the Keep. So into my keep note. It's a really nice way to keep everything streamlined. So again, thinking about students that are home right now, they can create a note and they could add pictures to it as they're moving along. So I deleted my note. We'll start it again. So we'll do give feedback, call Brandon, help Jordan. Okay. So that was this. That was the add images. Again, like I said, it looks different on the phone versus the computer. I'm going to skip past archive and I'm going to move over to my 3 dots. Really important to remember, 3 dots always mean that there is more in that menu. There's another menu there and there's going to be stuff in there. So just to quickly go through it, I could delete my note. I could add labels, add drawings, make a copy, show checkboxes, and copy to Google Docs. I can go over all of this stuff today, but I could be here for another hour. So I'm just going to kind of quickly breeze through the ones that you'll probably use most frequently. So show checkboxes. It is a checklist. For those of you who get satisfaction out of crossing things off, this is your best friend. So you tap the box once you're done and you have a nice line crossed off. Okay, and it shows the completed items. So you're able to self-monitor yourself, you, student, whoever is using this, and seeing what is completed and what is not completed. And things can also be reordered. So things that take priority can be moved to the top, things that don't can move to the bottom. All right, and then I could also uncheck things and move them back onto my list if I have done that in error. So I'm going to come back over here to the 3 dots and I'm going to click add a drawing. This is a feature that I've not used often, but do think that it could be beneficial because what it does is it allows a student to be able to manipulate on a whiteboard. It is not going to work so well if they have a trackpad or a mouse. It works really well on a tablet that's touchscreen, a phone, but I can just start writing right on here. And you'll see this pops up. I could also change the background if I am, let's say, a math teacher. I need grid paper. I can do this. All right. So what happens is this will now be attached to my keep note that I've been working on. Same way that when I put a picture in, it will also pop up over here. Lastly, down in my menu bar, I talked about the labels that were on my left. Clicking add label. These are the labels that are on my left-hand side. These are ones that I've already pre-created. I can put this keep into any one of these labels. It'll tag it. So I'm just going to tag it really quickly in 2019, 2020. It pops up down here at the bottom. I could also tag it in Google. And there we go. So now it lives over there on the left. Last thing I'll do in here is I'm going to pin the note. What pinning the note does, it puts it at the top under pinned. So I close it. You'll see it pops up right here. Pinned notes are the ones that will appear first. At the bottom, you have notes that aren't pinned, and they're just kind of your rogue notes that maybe aren't important to you. But you could pin and unpin it anytime you want. So if I come over here to the left-hand side, and I'll show you what it looks like when you click on a label. I click on 2019, 2020. Only the notes that are in that label will show up. So it is easier to view it. So it's not so overwhelming as you saw mine looked. It was tons of notes. This is a good way to be able to look at it and be like, okay, this is what I need to focus on. It could be by subject. It could be by month. It could be by standard, whatever it is. But think of different ideas and please contribute them to the to that doc that we were talking about before. Lastly, in here, just for your visual purposes, up top, you have, this is similar to your drive. This right now that we're looking at is grid view. This is grid view. If you'd like to change it to list view, you can view it this way and it just goes up and down from top to bottom. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take us away from keep right now. Like I said, there's a lot more that I can do, but I do want to keep us on time and on track. And if anybody has any questions, I do want to get to that after. So I'm going to leave incognito. And we're going to head over to Screencastify. So Screencastify is a Chrome extension. It is not part of the Google Apps domain, but it speaks to Google and it works fluidly with it. So all I did was, and the link is also in the presentation. So if you head on over to the next set of slides, which I won't go to, but it's below Keep, it has the Screencastify information along with some other resources on how to use Screencastify. but you'd go to screencastify.com, and over here it'll say install on your browser. You would click on that blue icon, and it'll go through the whole process of asking you what account do you want to set it up with. So you want to make sure that you're setting up Screencastify with your Google Apps account. So for example, if I have anybody from 75 on here, it's like at is75 paulo or paulo.com. You would sign up with that account to make sure that Screencastify is linked to your drive, and I'll show you why that is in a few seconds. And for those of you who are having issues with downloading extensions on your DOE computers, you can drop that in the chat too. I'll send you the unblocking information that you need. Okay. So Screencastify is screen recording. You might have, I think Nicole was talking about Show Me. Show Me is sort of a screencasting type thing, most frequently used on a tablet. But Screencastify lives right here on your Chrome browser. So what I can do is at any point in time, if I need to record something, whether it's a quick 1 minute how to do something for a student, or if it's a longer video on me teaching a full lesson, I can do that right from here because it lives and it's going to follow me no matter where I am as long as I'm signed in. So let's get started. I'm going to click on my Screencastify. All right. You'll see it has these options up here. So I can either just record the browser tab that's here. So it would be just this browser. I could record my whole desktop, which is what I traditionally do because I'm usually all over the place and I want to show multiple things. Or I could do webcam only. Webcam only is just you being recorded. So let's say you wanted to do a lesson, and I'll model that too, on a whiteboard or on your very own chalkboard in your house. You can use this option. But for now, we'll head on over to desktop view. We'll turn on our microphone, and we're going to embed the webcam. So embedding the webcam has your picture at the bottom for students or whoever this tutorial is for to see. So again, think about what you could use this for. I put in the ideas that it could be tutorials for parents on how to use resources, how to access resources. It could be for students teaching each other how to do specific items. It could be presentations. It literally could be anything you want it to be. So here's what we'll do. We're on our desktop. Our mic is working. Oops. And then we're going to click record. So I have to click the screen that I want to share. So do I want to share my entire screen or an application? An application would be something that's running in the background, like a PowerPoint. I don't have anything running in the background, so I'm good. I'm just going to record this. It's going to be very meta because you're recording me on Teams and I'm recording now on Screencastify. So should be giving me a 3, 2, 1 when it's going to start recording. Here we go. Okay, so a 3, 2, 1 pops up. We're a little bit slow. I know it's recording right now because at the bottom of my screen, I have this showing up that you're now recording. Also up here in the top, you'll see that the red dot is on. That is the universal sign for record. So we know that we're recording. Down here at the bottom, I have some of my tools that I can use when working on the screen. So again, it's capturing everything that is happening. So I can come on over here and I could start talking about, this presentation. We worked on Google Keep today, yada, yada. And I would go through and it is still recording me. Okay. So I'm going to come on, head back down here. Some of the things that I can use. So the focusing of the mouse. So let's say I wanted to bring your attention to a specific area. I can use the focusing of the mouse. And if I want to turn that off, I would just hover over and tap on it. I could also draw on my screen. So again, using the pen, not so easy with the trackpad, not so easy with the mouse, but if I needed to do it, I can 100% do it. And it is recording me while this is happening. So I have the ability to draw people's attention, students' attention to specific things as we're moving through this tutorial. Okay. So now when I'm done, I'm going to stop sharing. And you'll notice that it's going to pop up immediately in the next window for me to make any modifications to it or do the sharing. So I'm going to actually just click pause. You'll see there's Brandon and I at the bottom because it captures everything, like I said. Very much like Google Docs, the first thing you're going to need to do is change the title of this video. So you want to make sure that you're very detailed in naming it. So this is our April 20th tutorial on Screencastify. Okay. So it's recording right now because at the bottom of, oops, ha. So I gave it a name, and I'm good to go. So now, before I had said to you that it speaks to Google Drive, it links with your Google account, over here, this is actually going into a folder in your Drive. There was a folder created automatically for me and for you that's called Screencastify. Once you went through the whole system and said, yes, I agree, set up my account, a folder was created for you. And I'll pull you over there and show you where that is. But just so you know, to share this video, this can go right into Google Classroom. So think about kind of the power in this. Like, you're able to just come on over here, create your Screencastifies for, let's say it was whatever type of support you were working on, or maybe it was a lesson or your students were sharing. You can just come right over here and decide which class it's going to go into. So I'm going to put it into my online learning class. I'm going to create an assignment, and exactly like you would create an assignment in Classroom, that's what pops up here. So you could send it to all your students. You could send it to 5 of your students. It's the exact same thing that you would do for Classroom, and click assign, and it goes immediately into Classroom. So one of the reasons we like it so much. Again, publish it to YouTube. If you're using YouTube channels, generate a QR code. So maybe if you are creating documents for your students, templates for your students, if you want to use a QR code, download this QR code, put it onto the document, top left-hand corner, say, this is a resource video in case you're having trouble with whatever math or whatever we're doing today. But you can put this into a document. Okay? Since obviously we're not in real life and they're not using it in the classroom. Or you could simply download it to your computer. That's always a quick option for you to do. So to find your videos, because now you have these videos, where are they living? I'm going to X out of here. I'm going to show you the 2 different places that you can go and find them. So if I come on back up here, I could tap on my Screencastify icon. I'm going to go over to, I'm going to call this the pancake stack. We like food. We talked about the waffle before. Now we're going over to the pancake stack. So we click on the pancake stack and we click on my recordings. This has all of the recordings that you've ever created. So you'll see I am a hoarder. I make lots of videos. These are all of my recordings. This is the one I did today. It goes in chronological order. And I could open it up at any point in time, have a look, and then reshare it. Copy the link, share it to Classroom. Okay. Next, I'm going to bring you over to Drive. And I'm going to show you where the folder is. Because like I said, a folder is automatically created for you. I have a lot of folders in my Drive. Okay. So they're not in alphabetical order. Let's put them in alphabetical order so we could see them in a more organized manner. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to head on down to my Screencastify folder and show you what it looks like. I see it. It's behind. There it is. So right here. Okay, this is the folder that was created for me when I agreed to open up a Screencastify account. I'm going to tap on it. And again, you're going to see all of the videos the way I saw them before when I opened it up this way. So all the videos live in here, just like any other video that you would upload or a document that you would create. So I could also from here share a video. So if I click on it, just a second. What'll happen is once that opens up and once it's ready to go, you can come on over here to the 3 dots and you could share it this way as well. So same way you could share a regular doc or another video that's inside of your Drive, you come on over here and share it and also rename it. So very intuitive, very basic. It's nicely kind of meshed with Google Apps. So like I said, I can give you examples. I'm sure you guys have tons of examples of ways that you could possibly use this, but these are definitely two of the top tools that I say can really support the work that you're doing, support your students, support your family, support the administration. Definitely consider giving them a try. If you have any questions or if you want to go into more depth, please, let me know. I'd be happy to help, happy to support you, whatever you need.
All right. Thanks, Jackie, so much. We appreciate everything you do for us, for this district. Jackie's been nonstop working, helping schools, helping, staff, everybody. So give Jackie a virtual clap. And we will be taking some of your questions. I know that there weren't. I think we answered any questions up until now, but are there any new questions? Let's see if anything comes through. All right, nothing so far. Once again, this was recorded, and we will be sharing it. All right, Liz dropped the sign-in link again in the chat. I do not think anybody has any questions. Last call. I just really quick want to share my screen and just to show you all one last thing. So our close here. Stay healthy, stay strong. We're here for you. si.strongschools.nyc has a lot of the remote learning resources, right, Jackie, that you've curated over the last 6 weeks or so. And this link here is our one-pager. We just added some new offerings this afternoon, so we want you to take a look at it. We'll also be posting it in our Google Classroom. For you, we have pretty much one a week throughout May, if you're interested. And I think that's it. Any of my colleagues, anybody have anything they would like to add? I'm gonna unshare.
No, just as usual, if you have ideas or specific requests, just reach out to us so that we can compose something that is going to fit for what's coming up with what you need for kids and families right now.
Dawn, you had a question here? How do I share the links? I tried. How do I share the links? I tried to attach your email. What links are you talking about, Dawn?
On Google Classroom.
Which links are you looking to share?
Well, the one I was looking to share was you had something you had did in Sheet. You had asked us to share it. And I tried to attach it in email, and it won't attach. Like anything I try to attach from Classroom onto my email, not just with you guys in any of my classes, it doesn't attach. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know how to fix it.
I don't know, Jack. You have any insight on that? Sharing links from Classroom through and then putting them in an email, right? Is that what I heard you say, Dawn? Is that right? Yeah.
So a link to an assignment?
Well, to an assignment or anything that you guys are asking us to share with our APs, I go to copy the link and then to transfer it into my email to send it to my AP, and it won't attach. Like it shows it's attached, and I attach it to the email, and then when they send me email, it doesn't send. Like the email goes, but the attachment doesn't.
But are you sending it? I'm sorry. Are you sending it as a link or are you sending it as an attachment?
I'm trying to send it as an attachment.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to copy it and then I attach it to the email.
You're pasting it in. Are you pasting it into the body of the email?
It goes like through the paperclip, like as an attachment. It shows as like an attachment, but then when I send it, it doesn't go.
Do you want to show Dawn offline? Do you want to show me what you're talking about, just so I get a better view? I'll put you on here.
I don't know how do I share
we don't have to do it now. I'll message you. Yeah, on the side.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.